It's time. It's Ben Shapiro time. It's time for Ben Shapiro. Okay. This is not fun. All right.
So it's not just Beto O'Rourke who has been doing this extremist routine.
Right.
It's also Cory Booker. Here's Cory Booker yesterday suggesting that Catholic schools across the
God damn it. Is he really going to make me fucking defend Cory Booker, dude? Okay, so let me just put it out there. I don't like Cory Booker. I don't really hate Cory Booker either. He's so bland to me. Every time I hear him speak, I'm just like, go away. Like, no one's taking you seriously, dog. Just get the fuck lost. But now I'm going to have to defend Cory Booker because I'm sure that Ben Shapiro is about to say some dumb shit. I don't know. Maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe this will be one of the instances where I look at this issue and I say, you know what? This is just one of those times where Ben Shapiro is right. Actually, I can't think of another of those times. So this will be the first time Ben Shapiro was right, if in fact he is right.
The country. He's basically suggesting we should shut down every Catholic school in America, Cory Booker. He says Catholic schools across the country are using religion to justify discrimination. Insane.
And oh, yeah, that's so crazy. I mean, I'm going to lose the glasses simply because there's too much reflective surface there. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, so on the issue of Cory Booker here and the Catholic, I mean, like, is it really outrageous to think that religion is a source of intolerance? I mean, of course, religion has been teaching people intolerance for fucking centuries, millennia. So this is not some sort of controversial statement, and I'm about 90% sure that Cory Booker is not about to say that all Catholic schools should be closed down, but maybe he will, so let's take a look.
And so for me, I cannot allow as a leader that people are going to use a religion as a justification for discrimination. I could respect your religious freedoms, but also protect people from discrimination. And as I said in an earlier answer, I grew up in a household where my parents talked to me about how people used to use religion to justify the discrimination against African Americans.
Yeah, well, that's true. People have used religion to justify every fucking form of discrimination that's ever existed. I mean, it was definitely used against the gays and the lesbians. It's being used today against transgender people. I mean, it's any group of people that are hated. There's bound to be some sort of religious movement somewhere that says that, well, our hatred of this group of people is not just plain old-fashioned human bigotry. No way. What it is direct orders from the big guy. That's God's will. So that it seems, because, I hate these people because I'm a fucking bigot. That doesn't sound as good as I hate these people because it is the will of God, creator of the universe. So people have always used religion in that fashion. And, when Cory Booker talks about this as though it's some kind of past tense thing, no, it's not a past tense thing. This is a very much an always tense thing. And it's going to happen. It's happened in the past. It's happening at the present. It's going to happen in the future.
I cannot allow? Who the F are you, dude? You cannot allow?
Who the F are you, dude? Who the F is he? He's a guy running to be president of the United States of America. That's who he is. Who the fuck are you, Ben Shapiro? You're a dork with a microphone, as am I. But at least I know it.
Al, guess what? That's not your right. My right is to act in ways that don't harm anybody else. And if I choose to have an institution where I am going to elevate heterosexuality above homosexuality, that is not harming anyone else. You don't.
I think it kind of harms homosexuals. If you say, "Hey, this is our great school, and it's got all these things, and it's a wonderful place, and we have all these great teachers, and these great educational programs, and these great scholarship opportunities, and a great computer science lab, and nutritious food, and all that, but we hate gay people, and gay people aren't allowed here, because that's our religion." That doesn't harm gay people? Now, I get that there's different levels of harm, and I get that that's a far cry from going out and, throwing rocks at a gay person's house or, something like that. But to say that it's not harming them on any level in any way, of course it is. It's especially hurting the gay kids who are in the closet because their family has been religiously indoctrinated to hate them. and their peers have been religiously indoctrinated to hate them, and their teachers have been religiously indoctrinated to hate them, and the entire system has been religiously indoctrinated to hate them, and they're going through immense psychological torment every day that they have to attend that school, every day that there's no reprieve from it, you know? Everywhere they go, they're told that what they are is bad, and that, you know, they're supposed to be this other thing. And no matter how much they search within themselves to find that, like, well, I wish I was attracted to, you know, the opposite sex, but they're not. They're attracted to the same sex. And there's nothing they can do about it. And they're made to feel like monsters for those feelings simply because of a religious conviction that's held by literally everyone around them, everyone they're allowed to associate with. So you're really going to say that that's not harmful? Sounds pretty fucking harmful to me.
Don't have to participate in that institution. It's a free country.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a free country for an adult. Yeah, I mean, but what choice does that kid have? If you're a gay kid born to Catholic parents being sent to a Catholic school, what fucking choice do you have in that matter? You don't have any choice at all. So the choice argument kind of breaks down when you're talking about a school kid, because they don't have those kind of choices. He can't just choose to go to a different fucking school, you know? Maybe he can ask his parents, like, I'd really rather go to public school or something, but they're going to be like, no, you must have a religious education. Why would you want to leave the school? It's like, oh, never mind. Drop the issue.
I mean, you have institutions where you don't tolerate my religious beliefs. I don't expect that when I walk into a mosque that suddenly they're going to start practicing Judaism.
Okay, that's a far cry from what's being said. There's a far cry from them practicing Judaism. Like, what that would be if gay people were like, we expect people at the Catholic Church to just, when we walk in, to just break out into a huge gay orgy, and, you know, they all have to be gay. That's not what's being asked here. It's just like, don't discriminate against me. Don't hate me for what I am. And I think that you would hope to expect the same courtesy if you were to walk into a mosque. I think you would probably be a little bit offended if they all just point at you and hissed, and it's like, Jewish dog, filth, Jewish filth, may the Jews burn. You know, like, you would not be like, well, that's their beliefs. I think you'd be raging at them if that was what the fucking attitude was. And obviously in some mosques, the attitude is like that. And, you know, fuck them too. Obviously, fuck them too.
I don't expect that when I walk into an atheist meeting, they're going to start keeping kosher. And I don't expect that when I walk into the offices of the Human Rights Campaign.
Right. That's fine. Yeah, we're not going to be kosher for you, but we're not going to be like trying to force you to not eat kosher is the thing. That's the I mean, don't you see the difference? I mean, you know, it's like you're so close to fucking understanding the truth that the problem here is when you try to apply your beliefs to another fucking person. So when a gay kid goes to a Catholic school and they expect him to be straight, you know, that's fucking them forcing their beliefs on him. He's not trying to force them to be gay. You walking into a mosque, you're not trying to force them to be Jews. You coming to an atheist meeting, you're not trying to force us to be kosher, but nor are we trying to force you to not be kosher. Like, don't you fucking see that the problem is when you try to force your beliefs on somebody else? And don't you see that a lot of times these religious institutions are doing just that? And that's the fucking problem?
That they're going to start handing out literature from Leviticus. Like, why in the world would you not express the same degree of tolerance toward people who disagree with you than toward people you agree with? If you are only tolerant of people who agree with you, this is a good indicator you're not a very tolerant person. You will not allow, first of all, the very implication that the reason that Catholics are against homosexual activity is simply out of bigotry and discrimination is an absolute ignorance of Catholicism.
No, it's a completely accurate statement. How is, okay, well, let's let you explain. You're going to explain.
It's an absolute ignorance of the natural law history of Catholicism, of the natural law arguments, with
Right.
regard to human sexuality.
Okay.
For the same reason that Catholics are against abortion and contraception, they're also against homosexual activity. Namely,
Right.
they believe that the end of the end of the sexual act is procreation,
Right.
and that because sex is directed toward procreation and toward the deepening of relationships that end with procreation, heterosexual sex ought to be favored over homosexual activity. Or, by the way,
So let me just so by that logic, anybody who's infertile should not be having sex, should not be entering into relationships because they cannot procreate, so they just need to be abstinent. And once people are too old to procreate, they shouldn't have intimacy anymore because they're too old to procreate. And no one should ever, of course, use a condom. And I love, let's just extrapolate it even further, this whole idea that it's nature. It's nature this way. Human beings defy what nature gave us about 5,000 times a day. You know? It's not this microphone is not part of fucking the natural order of things. It's possible within nature, but we created this. You know, nature says that we're supposed to be tribes of hunter-gatherers, you know, foraging for berries and hunting down prey to exhaustion and living that sort of tribalistic lifestyle. You know, that's what nature wants for us. Nature wants us to all die. You know, like, oh, you broke your leg? Well, you're useless to the tribe and you're probably going to fucking die unless, you know, someone's kind enough to bring you enough fucking berries to sustain you. And even then, you're probably not going to be a very good hunter, so you're basically useless. So that's nature. Nature's a cruel motherfucker. And nature's full of evil and cruelty, too. You take it to the animal kingdom. Look at the fucking mating habits of the fucking cuckoo bird. You know, it puts it lays its egg in another bird's nest. The egg hatches. It kills all of the chicks that are the actual offspring of the parents that it then convinces to feed it until it's an enormous fat blob, and then it flies away to go do the same thing to some other unsuspecting bird family. So nature is full of all kinds of crazy fucked up shit. So this idea that nature is imbued with virtue is a crazy fucking idea. This idea that, you know, anything that defies nature is automatically bad is clearly and patently ridiculous, because we do things that, while they may not overtly defy nature, they certainly don't comply with what evolution, or at least our biological evolution, would have had us bogged down in. So, you know, all that naturalistic argument just kind of fades away. This idea, I mean, like, you know, cyanide is natural, doesn't mean it's fucking a good food. Arsenic is natural, doesn't mean it's tasty. You know, there's lots of natural things that are bad. There's lots of unnatural, quote unquote, things that are good. And, you know, the idea that homosexuality is unnatural is yet another layer of bullshit, because we've observed it in like 100 and something different animal species, right? So we know that there's, you know, animals like to fuck, like bonobos, right? Two male bonobos, when they get into a conflict, instead of fighting each other, they just rub their dicks together until they both come, and then they're like, okay, we're both good now, you know? And as weird as that might be, you know, if we could do that instead of murdering each other, wouldn't that be a better fucking world? I think it would. Sorry. So, I don't know, Ben, I think that kind of falls apart on about 1,000 different levels. And, yeah, once again, not really buying your argument.
over activity that ends with pregnancy outside of marriage, over adultery, over polygamy, right? I mean, there are plenty of sexual rules.
Okay, so saying that religion, like Catholicism being against polygamy is a fucking joke. Yeah, they might be against polygamy, but there's no biblical basis for that. The Bible is full of polygamists. Solomon was a polygamist. He had hundreds of wives and hundreds more concubines, right? King David, same deal. A lot of these ancient kings of the Bible, especially the Old Testament, especially your book, yeah, there was harems of wives and concubines that the great men of the time would conquest on a regular basis. They had more wives than they could fuck in a year if they fucked one a night, you know? So this idea that, that polygamy is condemned by the Bible, that seems more like a modern contrivance of evolving human morality than it does anything with some sort of biblical basis.
In religion. And picking out one of them and pretending that that's the only one that matters is pretty insane by the left anyway. It demonstrates a full-scale lack of understanding of how religion works. But notice that for the left, they truly believe, many people on the left, like Booker, they truly believe that practice of religion is in and...
By the way, just to go back to the thing with Booker, I never heard him say once in that, when he was responding to that question, that he wanted to ban Catholic schools. Like, he didn't even say anything vaguely approaching that, so total hyperbole and a complete straw man on your part.
Of its self-discrimination. Okay, well, guess what? Religion is exclusive. Okay, my synagogue is about practicing 613 commandments. And if you don't practice a commandment, that'd be a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Catholic faith, one of the tenets...
That's too many fucking commandments. That's just way too many. At least Christianity, it's like, here's your 10 commandments. It's like, all right, 10. Somewhat manageable. Still a bunch of bullshit. But, 613? Fuck. Do you even know them all? I mean, how many of those do you think Ben Shapiro violates on a daily basis? I'm going to guess probably upwards of 10. He probably violates 10 of his commandments every day.
Of Catholic faith is that you have to believe in Jesus. If you don't believe in Jesus, you're doing something wrong. Now, you have to have a faith in Christ. And if you don't, then you're excluded from the Catholic faith, right? You are not a practitioner of the Catholic faith. Is that discriminatory?
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Why isn't it discriminatory? I mean, it's just like, if you choose to call yourself Catholic for whatever reason, you just say, like, I don't really believe in a literal Jesus, but I believe in a symbolic Jesus, and I believe in the power of the communion and all this other stuff. Can't you just say, well, I'm just this kind of Catholic? That's the thing about religion, is you can always come up with some reason how you fit into whatever group. I'm a neo-Lutheran, whatever the fuck. That's why there's how many different flavors of Christianity? There's like thousands, right? There's thousands. There's almost as many different kinds of Christianity. Like, every fucking town you go to has like 10, 15, 20, 30 fucking churches, depending on the size of the town. Could be more, could be less. But every one of those churches is preaching something just a little bit different. And this one says, women aren't allowed to wear pants. And this one says pants are fine. And this one says women have to wear hats. And this one says women aren't allowed to wear hats. And this one says this, and this one says that. And it's just like, whatever, man. Whatever. It's just a bunch of bullshit anyway. So, I mean, what does it matter? Yeah, if someone wants to say I'm a Catholic, but I don't believe in Jesus, that's their fucking business. Who are you to tell them they're wrong? You're not, because a Catholic is whatever we decide a Catholic is. 700 years from now, maybe no Catholic will believe in Jesus. Maybe it will have evolved into something totally different than what we imagine it is today, because it's certainly something totally different today than it was fucking 1,000 years ago. Or 1,500 years ago. These religions haven't stayed static and stagnant. They've evolved and changed as the culture has evolved and changed. And, technology has irrevocably changed the way we live our lives, and thus it's changed the way we approach our religious practices. And there's been social evolution since then. And, some things that people believed about the world when the Bible was written, they no longer fucking believe. And you as a Jew should understand this better than most people, because there's tons of practicing Jews out there who are avowed atheists, who only practice Judaism for cultural reasons. So, I mean, you above all people should understand that, sometimes religion is just about lip service and nothing much else.
Sure, but, that's called religion. Okay, and guess what? Cory Booker is discriminatory too, because I am barred from the kingdom of heaven because he and I disagree on social leftism.
What? What? So Cory Booker barred you from the kingdom of heaven? When did he? What? What did I just hear? Did I miss something? I missed some context somewhere because that made zero fucking sense.
Amazing. Tolerance only flows one way. It only flows one way. It flows from people like me, religious people like me. They don't have any problem with Cory Booker feeling what he wants to believe, or Human Rights Campaign believing what they want to believe, or GLAAD believing what they want to believe. Do what you want, man. It's a free country.
What if they want to go to a Catholic school? You know? I mean, like, what if they want that? I don't know, man.
But that tolerance does not extend back the other way, not in any way, shape, or form. And you can't have a society that operates this way. By the way, Cory Booker is crazy. Okay, Cory Booker was asked about the Pulse terror attack. For those who don't remember the Pulse terror attack,
right,
it was up until the attack in Las Vegas, I believe, the deadliest terror attack in the United States since, and we still don't know if Las Vegas was effectually a terrorist attack or a mass shooting. It's kind of...
It's potato.
On that fuzzy border of classification because there's...
No, it's just... Who I mean, like, yeah, it's... Okay, whatever.
There's no actual political motive there. We know the motivation in Pulse, where 49 people were killed at this gay bar. The motivation at Pulse was Islamic radical terrorism. Cory Booker tries to blame it on white supremacy because we can never mention the intersectional conflict between radical Islam.
All right, so play the clip. Let's see. Because I don't know if he actually said that or not. Maybe he did, but after your gigantic misrepresentation of what he said in the last clip you played, how can we trust that that's what he actually fucking said? Maybe he did say that. I don't know. I'll take a look. I mean, you know, a lot of these Democrats, they do fucking have a boner for the white supremacy talking point. So maybe you're right on that. But I don't know. Are you going to show the clip or what?
And gay rights. Whenever Cory Booker or Beto O'Rourke are attacking someplace, notice how they always attack synagogues and churches. They never have anything to say about mosques that believe exactly the same thing as synagogues and churches on traditional sexual morality. Now, here's Cory Booker being a moron and suggesting that white supremacy was responsible for the Pulse terror attack.
Let's see if this was more honest.
So first of all, very clearly, it is a national emergency. The majority of the terrorist attacks in this country since 9/11 have been right-wing extremist groups. The majority of them have been white supremacist and hate groups. Okay. And I will elevate as President of the United States an office on hate crimes and white supremacy to make sure it is a presidential level effort to protect our country as a whole.
All right, well, it says here the question was, how will you ensure law enforcement is equipped to treat marginalized victims of crime with dignity and respect? Now, I didn't hear anybody mention the Pulse nightclub thing. Maybe they did, and you simply didn't show that part of the clip. But what Cory Booker just said there was that most terrorist attacks in the United States are from right-wing groups. By the way, I would consider Islam right-wing, or at least the fundamentalist vein of Islam to be right-wing. They share a lot of beliefs with the right-wing in America, that's for certain. Certainly share an abhorrence of homosexuality and other degenerate sort of things like that. Both think that their religion gives them the right to hate and discriminate against other people, so there's that. But then he says that, you know, most of these terrorist attacks have been carried out by white supremacist groups. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I never heard Cory Booker say in that answer that the Pulse nightclub incident was, you know, that white supremacy was responsible. In fact, I didn't hear anyone in this clip you played mention the Pulse nightclub attack, and I see that the recap of the question at the bottom of the screen doesn't mention the Pulse nightclub attack. So I'm a bit confused on this.
But I'm not stopping there.
Okay, by the way, the question that Booker was asked was about the Pulse terror attack. It sounds like he's being asked about Tree of Life or something. He was asked about the Pulse terror attack, which was...
Well, that's not what it said on the bottom. If that's what he was asked, why didn't you just include that bit? Because without seeing that full context, I don't know if that answer was, you know... I mean, it wasn't a good answer no matter what, but I don't know if that answer was totally off the wall and off the subject, or if that answer was just, you know, your typical tepid Democrat bullshit.
Was committed by a natural terrorist. Okay, by a natural Islamic terrorist. Tree of Life was committed by a white supremacist terrorist. A bit of a difference there. I hope you...
Okay. Well, that was that was bad as usual, Ben. You know, you played clips that you lied about what the content was, or at least you didn't give us enough context to see if you were being honest about the content. You made a bunch of naturalist fallacies. You made a bunch of really strange arguments that kind of undercut themselves about how other people shouldn't impose their will on other people, but what you're defending is the essence of that very thing. So I don't know, just another miserable fail from Ben Shapiro. It sucked. It was awful. It was painful to listen to, and it was kind of fun to tear apart. And that's usually what we get from our buddy Ben. So there's that.